Hey everyone, Dr. Frunkey here with a review and final diagnosis on this knife. The Benchmade 810 Contego. Now this is the Knifeworks.com exclusive version, and that varies slightly, so this one actually has the designation of 810-1401 Contego. The differences from this model to the standard model would be most notably the handles, done in a blue and black G10 as opposed to black. And then the blade, which is done in M390 steel instead of M4 steel. And then this blade is done in a satin finish with a stone wash, whereas the others are done in a Cerakote finish because of the M4 blade steel. I had looked at the Contego for a long time. I owned a Benchmade 940. I had a 940-1. What I found was that while those blade shapes were really nice for slicing, I felt that those knives are just a little bit too small for my hands. I have size 8 sterile glove, kind of larger hands, so I tend to venture towards a 3.25 to 4-inch blade, but it needs to have a handle that can accommodate my hand. I felt that the 940 series was a little bit too small. The 950 looked a little bit awkward to me in terms of its styling, the Rift series, but then this 810 Contego series, this is like the big brother of the blade shape there, and that's that reverse tanto blade shape. That blade shape is made popular by Mr. Warren Osborne. Unfortunately, Mr. Osborne passed away last year, and they just released his last model, a flipper. I think that one was the 928 or something like that. But this knife had caught my eye for a long time. This knife has been out now for a number of years, and it's been a Knifeworks exclusive for at least 2 or 3 years now. But I never bought it just because I couldn't convince myself. I tried other Benchmades first. I got a Griptilian, a mini grip. I carried a couple of other knives for some friends. Just none of them really stuck out to me, and I always wanted to try this. So on Black Friday of last year, this knife hit $159.99. And for a 4-inch blade of M390 steel, made in the USA here, Benchmade quality and standards, and the access lock and everything, and this design, I just had to pick it up. So I did, and I've been very happy with it. So before I talk about sort of my experience with the knife, let's go ahead and talk about this guy anatomically. So up front, we've got a 4-inch blade of Böhler M390 steel. Now that is a German steel or an Austrian steel, but M390 is widely regarded as the best steel for folding pocket knives, and that is because of its ability to take an edge, hold an edge, and resist corrosion. It's just a fantastic steel, widely regarded as the best steel available right now. American manufacturers have created 20CV and 204P, which are chemical equivalents of this steel, and all three of those represent basically the holy trinity of blade steels. So really excited to have that on here. It's, in my opinion, not necessarily an upgrade, though, to the standard steel. In understanding blade steels, M390 is a great steel, but the stock steel is M4. M4 is an awesome steel for edge retention, for hardness, and for slicing ability. It's just absolutely insane. That steel that they make is typically hardened 62 to 64 Rockwell. This M390, though, is very impressively done at 60 to 62 Rockwell. They do publish that. And that's really incredible. So if you like a stainless steel, this is the way to go. The M4 has to be Cerakoted because it does not really have a high chromium content, and therefore is susceptible to corrosion and rust. This steel is probably never going to rust on you under normal conditions if you just keep it clean. So really like that. The reverse tanto blade shape is just very awesome. It provides you with a very high flat grind, so you can get pretty thin behind the edge. Speaking of the edge, I have sharpened this to 17 degrees per side on the wicked edge. At least I had a friend of mine do that for me and taken it to a full mirror polish. Hopefully you can see some of the reflections there. This is an incredibly sharp knife. It slices very well. I'm going to do something I don't routinely do on the channel. I'm going to pull out a piece of magazine paper here and just show you kind of how sharp this thing is without even trying at all. It's just going to go straight through that. And then I can just show you here, it will just slice in all kinds of directions, just unbelievably sharp. So really enjoying the sharpness on this blade, the hardness of the M390 and its ability to take that keen edge. Really happy with that. Super high performance steel, whether you buy this model or the stocked model. Now, the satin finish on the blade is just beautiful. I'll bring it up for sort of a close-up here and see if I can get that to catch the light for you. Yeah, so it's got that nice machine satin going on. It's got sort of a higher satin on the flats there, and it does continue onto the swedge with the machine satin. That has then been stone washed to give it a little bit more of a resilient finish. You can see the billboarding on the back there, benchmade.com/Pat. You got M390 on there. Really nice. And I'm just going to let people admire the fine work that my friend has done with that edge there. Really gorgeous mirror finish all the way down on that M390 blade. The deployment is via thumb studs on the blade. It works exceedingly well. It's easy to just flick it out with the thumb like that. You can do it the traditional way and just kind of slowly take it out like that. You can have a little bit of fun with it. There are 2 thumb studs on there. If you're capable with your spider flick, it will spider flick really nicely actually, which is indicative to me of a very smooth pivot. So let's move back and talk about that. This guy runs on phosphor bronze washings, which you can phosphor bronze washers, which you can see in there. In typical Benchmade axis lock fashion, it is just ridiculously smooth and a free dropper. The axis lock is a neat mechanism. It's been tried and true. If you're watching this video, chances are you've used a Benchmade with an axis lock or some kind of similar mechanism. It's really easy. It's safe. It's strong. They've tuned it perfectly on this knife so the knife deploys well and retracts well. And one of my favorite things about it is when you're bringing the blade back and it kind of falls out of place. Once you let it go, it kind of pulls it back in place with that detent. Kind of a neat thing there. I enjoyed that little snap back into place. But it is it's very smooth, as most of them are. One of the small problems with the axis lock that some people will complain about is a very small amount of side-to-side play. You can feel that here in this knife. It's more of something that you feel rather than something that actually translates into the blade. And that's really only under ridiculous loads. You know, if you're just slicing or cutting in a downward fashion, there's absolutely no up and down play at all. And that's what really matters there. Super strong lock that's not going to fail on you. Really, that's a small complaint. That's not even really a complaint. That's just inherent to all axis locks. And it's not necessarily a problem unless you just feel that kind of need for OCD perfection there in the stiffness of the blade. Moving back to the handles, we've got stainless steel liners that have been aggressively milled out. There are 4 large holes milled out of both sides of those liners. They are then given these patches of jimping. So those are really cool to me. At first I was like, that's just really random. Why do they put it all there? But when you get it in hand, your thumb sits here, your index finger here, middle finger here, and your 2 fingers back here, and then the palm of your hand. So if you look at that, there is perfectly placed jimping at all of the points of contact, and that gives you very nice control over the blade. You're not going to lose this with your hand, and you're going to be able to hold on to it through all cutting tasks. Now, one of the biggest complaints about the original Contego model was that the steel jimping, in conjunction with the way that the handle is milled, made for an overly sharp knife. Now, the special scales on this model have been more aggressively milled. This is a blue and black G10. This is exclusive to the Knifeworks edition here. But if you look up close, you can see that the sharp corners, the sort of transition points from the handle, from the scales onto the steel, all of those have been sort of milled down. They're not really sharp. They're not aggressive. I have seen the original Contego, and these were much sharper. These spikes kind of came out. And that could be a benefit if you're wearing gloves. If you need a big knife for wearing gloves and you need aggressive traction, it's good for that. But for folks that are just using their hands, it was a little bit too painful. Now this is really, really nicely milled down, smooth in the hand. It provides positive traction without being too painful. I imagine if you're doing really aggressive cutting all day with your bare hands, it might still give you some hot spots after a while. But, in my hands, it's been great. I've enjoyed having that extra bit of traction on the knife. The handle itself is very long. We're looking at a 5.3-inch handle to manage that 4-inch blade right there. So you do have a little bit of extra real estate there after the tip of the blade, but it is fine. It's not a particularly thick blade. It's 0.55 inches, right over a half an inch. Most knives are about a half an inch. The thing that really provides this carryability is this pocket clip. This is the deep carry stainless Benchmade clip. This is my absolute favorite Benchmade clip by far. It's the deep carry, it's the stainless, it's really nicely satin finished, and it's got a nice retention on the clip. It's not too strong, and it just doesn't look like a penis. Let's be honest. Some of those Benchmade clips look like penises, and I think that just kills a knife sometimes. Even though some people think that it's the best one, let's be real, it's not. This is the best clip that Benchmade makes, period, done, end of discussion. We're looking at a sort of a heavy knife here. I'm going to pull out the scale so we can get the real life numbers here. I know that they publish certain things, but it's not necessarily reflective in real life. Okay, we can see the numbers here. This comes in at 5.69 ounces. On the website, honestly, it was calling it 5.92. So in real life, this is a little bit lighter than even the published data. So kind of a nice little surprise there. I appreciate that. That pocket clip we were talking about is reversible. It allows for left or right-handed tip-up carry, which is my preferred method there, tip-up. So very nice knife for the lefties out there, very ambidextrous knife with the thumb studs as well. Let's talk about how it EDCs. We talked about the clip. This does slide in and out of the pocket nicely. There are no real hot spots when you're sliding past here, getting into your keys. This is not aggressive enough to really hurt you. There's no flipper tab sticking out back here, poking the stuff in your pocket. The geometry of the clip allows you to fit it nicely. That sort of swell in the handle and the blade fits in the back part of your pocket really well. And the clip does retain it very well. It's a little bit heavy there, but it does carry well for such a heavy knife, and there are certainly heavier 4-inch knives out there. So they've done a good job with that milling. I appreciate that. In terms of using this knife, it is a big knife, so you really have to use it and pull it out at sort of moments where you know it'll be safe, or if you've told someone, because this is very close to a pocket sword. Let's just talk about how big that is relative to some other knives that I've got. Sort of a popular EDC right now is going to be a Spyderco Para 3, a small knife in comparison. This one is running at a 3-inch blade. I'm going to bring out a Curtis F3. I think I'm going to, because of the way that my camera is positioned, I'm going to do it like this so you can see, and I'm going to put them all kind of butt to butt so you can see the actual differences in sizes here. The Curtis F3 at 3.25 inches. We've got a 0392. I like using this knife because this is the same size as a 0562 and the XM18, so people kind of understand that what this size reference is like. We've got a Southern Grind Spider Monkey going on here. Again, I can pull out the Olight S1R baton, and then how about a US Penny, all for size comparison there. So we've got a pretty big knife going on there with the Contego, so you're going to have to sort of accommodate that in your EDC. I found that some of these smaller knives, like the Southern Grind here, are a little bit easier to carry, but on certain days you're going to need a bigger knife. If you're going to need some serious cutting ability, if you're going to be in a spot where you think you might need a little bit of extra protection, this might be a good knife for that purpose. And I've found myself using it in that capacity. So in the last couple of weeks, because it's so big, I found myself carrying smaller knives in the EDC roll. But if I'm going outside late at night to a place that might have some dangerous things going on, this is what I've put in my pocket, because this truly is a tactical EDC blade, or a tactical pocket knife. It's designed that way, it is, and it's executed that way. So if I could make a recommendation, it would be to use it in that roll. In that capacity, the knife that I was using in that roll is this CRKT M16. Just also a really popular knife out there with the titanium handles and the big Tanto blade here. This is the knife that I had for that roll before, but I just felt that I wanted an upgrade, and now I have it. So this knife is actually going to be part of a giveaway. I think once I reach about 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to go ahead and give this away to one lucky viewer. So if you guys enjoy my videos, definitely click subscribe. Once I hit 1,000, that one is going to be in the giveaway. So, in terms of the Benchmade 810 Contego, what are my thoughts and what is my final diagnosis? My final diagnosis is this is the best knife that Benchmade has to offer right now. And that is including after watching the info on the 2017 SHOT Show knives. So this video is being made in late January of 2017. The 2017 SHOT Show Benchmade knives just came out. To be honest, I'm underwhelmed, to say the least. Benchmade is known to make good knives, but they have really stuck to their guns, and they're making these small plastic knives with sort of boring blades. And they've tried to venture out a little bit, but I just don't think that any of their designs even catch my eye now. But this one had caught my eye for a long time. If you are on the fence about picking up a knife from Benchmade, this is a good place to start. If you have bigger hands and you didn't like the 940 and you'd like to try again, try this one. If you were disappointed by all of the knives that they just talked about, look a little bit to the past, where there's an amazing, amazing knife waiting for you here. M390, super strong, super reliable, and just a gorgeous, gorgeous addition to anybody's collection. Really, really enjoy this knife. I cannot speak highly enough of it, or of Knifeworks.com. That's a company near where I live. I'm happy to support them in their exclusive runs. They have a lot of other really cool exclusive runs. They had the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 in carbon fiber and M4 blade steel. They know what they're doing in terms of custom ordering these special editions, and I really, really like that about them. They even sent me a little, I don't have it right here with me, they sent me a little Knifeworks.com towel. I'm going to grab it right now. And really, really appreciated that. I don't know if that was just because of the exclusive model or what, but this came with the knife, and everyone loves these kind of CRK style cloths, so really, really nice addition. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. It's been a real joy carrying this knife. I appreciate all the support. Let me know what you guys think of the 810. Highly recommended. This one is staying in my collection as my big tactical blade. Click like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at Dr. Frunkey, and I'll see you guys soon. As always, this is Dr. Frunkey saying take care.